to today's Starseed Healing Circle. Wow, what a month this has been. Okay, I think let's tune in before we get into all the business for today. So today we are doing a coaching mentorship session. So it's going to be a little bit of maybe a little bit of teaching, and we see what comes up. So today we tune in with the inner child healing Lightcode activation. So perhaps close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths in and out. And just gather yourself, come into the space, be fully present in the space, and perhaps set your intention for what it is that you would like to work with today. So yes, we are doing a coaching session, but there will be a little bit of healing here involved as well. So let's see what comes up for you. When you're ready, open your eyes and allow your eyes to gently trace the light code, or perhaps you just rest somewhere on the light code. That's okay. Just allow yourself to be in this moment. I like to trace it from one side to another with my eyes, so that the light code becomes a labyrinth for my eyes. And spend as much time here as you need. You can pause the recording if you need to. Right, so this month was quite intense. The general patterns that I saw coming up for my clients was a lot of fear, a lot of panic, a lot of it's sort of like a depression leading onto sadness, and just overall heavy, dense frequencies. I've also seen a thinning of the veil, so where things from other dimensions are bleeding into this time-space reality. Not everybody has experienced that, but that's been sort of things that I've noticed. So some people, there's been a little bit of a bleed in. I think the biggest pattern that I saw in this past month was this almost like a panic or a fear that a lot of my clients indicated. It's almost like they are on the edge of something and they need to release and they don't quite know how, and there's a huge panic. So some people have been struggling with sleep, and yeah, it's been a little bit of an intense ride for many people. So what I did this morning was to check in, what can I teach you, or what tool can I give you that could help you through this time and space, and also for future when this comes up again. And a technique that came up is Meridian Walking. Now, you can't go into Meridian Walking without talking about the meridians. So we're going to talk a little bit about the meridians, and then I will show you the technique. And then what I did was I dowsed to see which meridian we are working with. And luckily it's not a very complicated one. So we are safe. But it does... it did give me the idea to also have like a whole series or sequence here of focusing on different meridians in future, but we'll see how they come up as we get to them. So let's have a look at our slides. So first of all, the meridians, in case you don't know, let me just see if I can switch my video on. I may be covering the foot, but it's okay. The meridians are Chinese, or were developed by the Chinese, and they are lines or energy lines that run through the body. Now, they are not limited only to the Chinese. The Indians have a similar system. They just call it something different. They're working with vayus and nadis and things like that, and they work more on a point system, a little bit less on lines. They do have lines, but not quite the same as the meridians. There's been some research with the Khoi Sun in South Africa, where there's specific points in the body that they would stimulate, or even sometimes make little incisions in and put herbs in that correlate directly with the Chinese meridian system. And there's been some information from the Maya Inca side where they've got a similar system that almost is identical to the meridians that the Chinese have. So this is a very interesting field. If we look at more modern times, we have, if we're looking at sort of from a physiotherapy perspective, there's something called fascia trains, where they're looking at the fascia within the body. The fascia is like a one cell thick bag, for a lack of a better word, that contains the muscles and it keeps it all together. So you've got muscles that are sitting in these sort of bags of fascia that are linked together, and you've got fascia that would go from, let's say, the foot all the way up into the head, containing different organs and muscles groups and things like that. And when we have tension in muscles, the tension actually goes to sit within the fascia in the long term. And when the fascia tightens up, it keeps that pressure and tension in on the muscle. So fascia release is something that's quite big at the moment. And when we overlay things like the fascia trains over the meridian system, there's actually quite a correspondence happening between them. Now, with the meridian system, we do have two distinct major systems. So we've got the meridians and then we've got the extra meridians. So we're only focusing on the normal meridian system that most people know about, the 14 meridians. But there is another system that focuses on lines that work more like on diagonal and crisscrossing over the body. Those are the lines that are very close to the fascia trains that I mentioned. So the meridians, I'm not going to go into too much detail with them, not in today's session, but we can actually have quite a few sessions mentoring and working with the meridians to help you with this, if you are interested in learning a little bit more about the meridian system. But basically we've got 12 meridians that are bilateral, and that means they're sitting on both sides of the body and they are the same. So for example, the liver meridian, even though the liver in the physical body that we have is only sitting on the right hand side under your ribs, the meridian for the liver is on both sides of the body. In the same way as the spleen is sitting on the left side of our body, only on the left side, we don't have a spleen on the right. The spleen meridian sits on both sides of the body. So the meridians are access points where we can trigger or work with a specific organ. Now, the meridians could be yin or they could be yang. So there could be a positive or there could be a negative. When we talk positive, negative here, but there's no judgment here. It's just a quality. So one is a dark, one is a light. One is female or male. One is active, one is passive. Not really passive, but yeah, it's opposites. So the meridians come in pairs. There's only two meridians that are central, that are sitting right on the central line, and that is your conception and governing vessels, or Renmai in front and Dumai in the back. And so these ones are central, and so the front one is the yin and the back one is the yang. Yang is the positive, yin is the negative or the feminine. And so a really easy way to determine usually how, if a meridian is yin or whether it's yang, is to look at the placement and also the activity of the organ itself. So the Renmai and the Dumai, or conception and governing vessels, they are associated with, number one, they are a reservoir for energy. So it's a place where we store energy energetically within the body, and it is also very strongly connected with the brain. So the governing vessel, the Dumai, that goes around the back, comes over the head, and so that's very strongly associated with the brain. As soon as something is active at all times and it works non-stop, and like if your body can't live without it, then that is considered a yin organ. So for example, if we look at the bilateral organs, for example, like lung, liver, kidneys. Those ones are all heart. Those are all seen as yin organs. Another way to look at these is if the organ is really, really dense. So for example, the lung is like a sponge. It's quite dense. The heart muscle is very dense. The liver is a very dense organ. The kidneys are dense filters. The spleen is dense. All of those dense organs, those are seen as your yin organs. Your yang organs are your hollow organs. So like your large intestine, small intestine, your stomach, bladder, those ones are all seen as yang. Yin organs have to work all the time, non-stop, every day. They don't think about it. They just keep working. Usually we do not consciously control them. Out of all of those meridians, the only one that we can consciously control is the lungs, where we can consciously control our breathing. But all the other ones, they work automatic. We can't change our heart rate. We can't change when the spleen switches on and switch it off. We can't tell the liver to stop working for a while, or the kidneys. They work all the time. The yang organs, they work when they need to. So your stomach will work when there's something in the stomach. Your large intestine works when there's something in the large intestine. If you have to go on a fast or something like that, and there's nothing in the stomach, there's nothing in the small intestine, there's nothing in the large intestine, they sort of go a little bit quiet. They go to sleep a little bit. They go, let's rest, let's get the yin organs to do whatever they need to do. So from the meridian perspective, very easy to see whether a meridian is yin or yang. Each of the meridians are associated with an energy. So normally they are seen as the 5 elements, the Chinese 5 elements, but 5 phases is probably a better way of thinking of it, because it's not, the Chinese don't really work with a similar system to what the West works when it comes to elements. So in the West, we've got fire, earth, water, and air, and ether, and these are the elements that makes up everything. Now the Chinese elements are similar in a way, but they go beyond the makeup of things. So it's also about qualities. So speaking of them as phases is a much more accurate way of working with that. So for each meridian set, a yin and a yang meridian, there is an element associated with it. So for example, your stomach and your spleen meridian, those are earth energies. Your heart, small intestine, those are fire energies, or fire phases. Bladder and kidney is water. Liver and gallbladder, those are wood. And lung, large intestine, those are metal. And these elements, these 5 elements, they interact and work with each other. And there's different cycles that they can follow through. I should have actually had a little slide up for this, but maybe I'll put one up afterwards. Or we can do it for another day as well. I think we'll do it for another day when we go more into detail with that. So these energies or phases feed into each other. So earth energy feeds metal. So as earth compresses and condenses, it forms metal. Metal then, when it gets more intense or more compressed, it then becomes liquid, which is associated with water. Water feeds wood, so wood grows, and then wood feeds fire, so that fire can grow, and then fire makes ash from the wood, which is converted into earth. So you can see that there's a cycle of things. But in Chinese medicine, there's 4 different phases or cycles that these energies could go in. So they can go into this sort of producing cycle where they feed into each other, or they can go into reverse, where earth is actually stopping fire from working, and fire is burning the tree completely down, and the tree is sucking up all of the water, and all the water is washing away or corroding the metal, and the metal is chopping up the earth. So that's going in a reverse cycle. In the similar way, there can be insulting cycles where the tree could break up the earth. The earth could then soak up or suck up all of the water. The water can wash out the fire. So we're working with these big cycles and small cycles within that, and that cycle can also be reversed. So when we understand how these phases or energies work, then we can look at the body and find which meridian is out, and we can then balance that meridian. On top of that as well is that each meridian has points along the meridian. And if you know which points are associated with what, then we can also further work with the balance. So just as an example, on each of the meridians, there are 5 points associated with the 5 elements. It's usually along the beginning or the end of the meridian where these 5 points would be. So for example, if you're on the spleen meridian, you will have a point for earth, a point for water, a point for wood, a point for fire, and a point for metal. And so we can work within the earth yin meridian and also associate with another energy. So we can use that to balance the energies within that space. I've got something flying in front of me. What is this? So anyway, when I dowsed to see what meridian we are working with today, the heart meridian came up, and that actually makes perfect sense. I mean, initially when I thought, okay, let's do a meridian, I was thinking let's do the spleen meridian. I know which one did I want to do. I wanted to do the lung meridian because lung meridian is quite an easy one. Or I wanted to do kidney meridian, but then when I dowsed through, the heart meridian came up, and I was like, oh, okay. But then when I thought about it, it actually makes perfect sense, because the energy that we had throughout this month was that of sadness, of depression, of fear, of anxiety, panic, and all of those energies. Now, panic and fear is normally associated with the kidney and bladder meridian. Sadness and depression and things like that would be associated with the heart meridian. So it actually makes sense. Remember that if the fire is weak, then a little bit of water can put the fire out. If the fire is weak, it can't burn the wood and it can't produce the ash, so it can't produce the earth. If we don't have enough earth, then we're not going to be producing metal. So in Chinese medicine, we really look at building a balance energetically within all of these energies. So in today's session, like I mentioned, the technique that came up is Meridian Walking. We are going to be doing a meridian walk just on the heart meridian. Okay, so let's look at meridian walking as a technique first, and then we'll come back to the meridian itself. So meridian walking is really using 2 fingers, like index finger and middle finger, and we're literally going to walk the meridian. So we're literally going to do that type of movement. It doesn't have to be very big. You can also put fingers side to side and sort of walk them side to side. And it really is just about creating a little bit of stimulation on that meridian so that we can release anything that's there. Now, meridians have a start point and an end point. So beginning and an end point. And the beginning and end point determines the direction in which the energy will flow within the meridian. So a good idea to do before we are going to walk the meridian is to first flush the meridian. Now there's different ways that we can flush a meridian. One way is to reverse the flow a few times, which is to a quick movement. Another one is to feather the meridian. So feathering the meridian, we are doing this type of movement over the meridian. So you're just going like, okay, let's clear away all the clutter. So what we'll do in today's session is we will flush the heart meridian 3 times. We'll give it a good feather, and then we're going to walk the meridian. So let's first look at where the meridian lies, and then we'll get into that work. So let's go back into here. Okay, so next slide. Well, I hope you can see there. Okay, so the heart meridian starts right in the armpit. And we'll have to just find where that is. I'll show you how to find that. It's right in the middle of the armpit, and it goes along the inside of the arm. So just here behind the bicep. It goes over the elbow, and it goes up along the inside of the arm and up along the inside of the palm and then over onto the next to the nail bed. So let's quickly just get a little bit of a closer look. So in the armpit, it's going to go along the inside of the arm, inside of the elbow, goes all the way along the inside of the palm, and you'll see there's quite a few points along the wrist over here, and then it's going to end right on the nail bed for the little baby finger. Okay, so that, and now the way that we're going to be working here, it's going to be, there's quite a bit of room for work, but you'll see as we work with this how it's going to go. So on the inside of the hand, it's going to go up along the inside of the finger, and then comes around the top to the nail bed. Okay. And on the baby finger, we've actually got the small intestine ending on the other side of the nail bed. So we've got both sides of the nail bed. Now, luckily, small intestine is also a fire meridian, so it's going to be good. We're going to be working both of those fire meridians. So I'm going to reverse. I guess we could keep this one up because it'll give you your reminder of where the meridian lies. Or I can put it over here. You can see the whole lot as well. Okay, so let's look at how you're going to find the meridian. Now, normally when we do a traditional set, so let's say, for example, I need to find someone else's meridian. What I would do is I would hold the pulse, and I would first find the person's pulse. Once I've got the pulse going, then I would put my thumb into the person's armpit, and I'll press in quite deep. As you press in, you will actually feel the pulse stop once you've got the right point. So there's an artery that runs along the armpit. Now for yourself, because now obviously you can't hold pulse and try and find it, you can use index finger and middle finger and just palpate inside your armpit. And if you press in and out a few times, you'll find a spot where you press and it feels like, oh, what did I hit over there? There's something like really, really sensitive. When you hit that spot, that's the spot. So that's going to be the beginning point of the meridian. We are going to, from there, trace out. We're going to walk it out along the inside of the arm, up onto the wrist, and then onto the inside of the hand, and it's going to go around to the little finger, and we're going to press it at the end. Okay, so our first job that we want to do is we want to flush the meridian. So flushing, we're working in reverse, and here there's lots of room for what do we call it, like just flow with it. So if you don't get the meridian 100%, it's okay. The body's actually going to understand what you're working with. So we're going to do one side, and then we'll do the other side. So I'm going to start on the corner, on the inside of the baby finger, on the nail, right? I'm using index finger and middle finger, very lightly there, tracing backwards along the inside of the arm to there, and I'm going to do that 3 times. This is 2 and 3. So that is me flushing the meridian. Now I'm going to feather it, and I'm feathering up and down along that arm. Okay, now for the walking. I already found my point. I know where my point is, and I'm walking with 2 fingers. Walk, 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 walk. I'm applying a little bit of pressure, and I'm just walking along the inside of the arm. And you may find that there's some sensations happening within the body. I'm actually at the moment getting little tingles down my knees. That's usually an indication that things are moving. And I'm going to just walk along the inside of there, and I'm going to walk, 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 walk until I get to the end, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a squeeze. And I'm going to go back to the point again, walk, 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 walk. Luckily, we got one of the shortest meridians to do for this exercise. Walking along the inside of the arm. Just pay attention to anything that you may be feeling or sensing within the body. Give it a little bit of a squeeze, and walking again. Walking along the inside, walk, 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 walk. I find that normally my fingers get a little bit tired when I'm doing the walking. If that happens, you can just like wiggle your hand or something, but it's like really just about getting that massage movement going. Squeeze. Okay, one arm done. Now I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. I've actually got a little bit like almost like a tingling happening over the ears, knees are going, so I can definitely feel the energy is moving within the body. Okay, so first find a point. Oh, okay, the first time I found that point. I'm going to start off by reversing the flow first, so flashing it out. So starting on the inside there, then tracing out just with 2 fingers. 1, 2, 3. Give it a bit of a flush, the feathering. So these feathering and walking techniques, these are from kinesiology, from applied kinesiology or chiropractic. Okay, now let's walk. So I'm going to start here, walking in, and we're going to walk this 3 times. Walking along the inside of the arm, onto the palm, and do the little fingertip squeeze. A little bit of a press. I like to give it a little bit of a press before I start the walk. Walking in, walking all along the arm. Also pay attention. I find that when I do these things, my breathing changes. It's normally also a good sign. Give it a little bit of a press and then walk in. Walking, 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 walking. We've got lots of other techniques that we can do on the meridians, but for today, it's been walking. So I think if we do another session with more meridians, then we can look at some other techniques. Give it a bit of a squeeze. Done. Okay. How are you feeling? You can do this particular technique as often as you like. So good thing to do it maybe in the morning when you wake up, maybe at night before you go to bed. What it does is just balances the heart meridian. If you're feeling any sadness or depression, or you're feeling a little bit down in the dumps, energy is not moving, not flowing, feel a bit stuck, or you feel like your fire is out, your passion is out, then just run this meridian. Give it a bit of a flush out first, and then feather it, and then walk it out. Okay, so that is today's session. Okay, you've learned a little bit about meridians. I definitely think there's definitely space and time for us to go through a deeper session with meridians. I'll actually mark this one so that we know that we're working with meridians, and then we can maybe package all of these together. And over time, you can learn more about the meridians, how you can work with them in your life, how you can stimulate them, and how you can actually do something with them or share it with other people and so forth. So that is it for today's session. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I can't wait to hear how you worked with your heart meridians, and if you felt anything or if you experienced anything. So I see you in our next session. Another month down and the year is almost gone. Can you believe it? Sending you so much love. Take care. Bye.